Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Sort of Sleep-In Sunday. We're at 7 a.m. this morning. We usually go to 8, but we have our Seva retreat going on up at the farm. So we're filled with the whole crew of live. Say Harry Bowl, everybody. You can't hear that, can you? But anyway, they all said Harry Bowl really loud. Our microphones, I don't think, picks up external sound, but we had a really great day yesterday. There's something about just going out there and working and being part of something bigger and coming together and eating prasad and then having kirtan. It's just a formula for peace and joy and connection. And we got a bunch of great people here with us. A lot of our regular Zoomers are here. A lot of our locals. Mary, did you have a good day yesterday?
Yeah, I had a great day.
Yeah, it's a great day. How are you, Kostuma?
Very good, Raghunath. I was going to mention, yesterday I was at Divya's kitchen, and I bumped into Tracy Conway.
Oh.
Tracy Conway.
And her husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school.
They're old school from the original days of before the podcast.
Yeah.
They usually come on our Seva weekends. It seems like they're playing hooky. The date in New York City, they said they were busy.
That's what they're busy with.
Busy on a date in New York City. Okay.
It's been very nice to see her.
Yeah. So if you're new to the show, welcome. It's Sunday. We do Q&A, questions and answers today. So people write in their questions. But when we have programs at the farm, or we're out with the pilgrimage or something, sometimes we like to ask our people from that retreat or pilgrimage or whatever to come up with their own questions, and then we bring them on. We introduce them to the crowd because it's nice. This is how we sort of develop community too. We get to know each other. Then sometimes we have these Wisdom of the Sages retreat, and you're like, "Oh my God, you're Linda. Oh my God, you're Carla, the coach. Oh my God," because we tend to nickname people that we know. So we're going to start that right off. Any other announcements, Mara?
We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. And the show is on at 7 a.m. this week. And happy birthday to Maya.
Happy birthday to Maya. It's her birthday today on
Oh,
Mother's Day.
happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday. Happy birthday. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know this might be a Hallmark fabricated holiday. That's okay. We appreciate moms anyway. And thanks for all that you do. Also, I just want to shout out Bhakti Recovery. Jiva G is going to be at our Italy retreat. So if you want to come to Italy with us, not only me, Mara, Kostuba are going to be there, but Jiva G is going to be doing BRG meetings there also, and people love them. She's also going to be with us at our Wisdom of the Sages retreat in India when we do our wisdom, light on wisdom training. And that's not up yet on our website. It's coming up this week if people are interested. It's basically the second half of January to the Flower Festival. We do it every year. Yeah, so check that out. So we're going to start off with our Q&A with
Jamie Step Dojo.
Jamie Step Dojo. Come on down, Jamie. You sit right here and you talk right into the microphone. Live from Boston. And Jamie Step, as you can tell, he's sort of a hardcore guy. He's a hardcore guy with a heart of gold. So you got to put your face right on that microphone.
You gotta get
Jamie,
he's
slide over
got,
towards me.
The merit. Yeah, we gotta pull him into the.
You got to pull
screen.
him. You get that Cyclops half a head there.
There we go.
Jamie, what's your story again here? Give a brief update of your life.
I don't know.
Coming to spirituality.
Yeah,
Coming to spirituality. You don't have to go. So I was born in an obscure town. No.
Yeah, I was a mess. That's it. I was a mess, and I was in pain, and I just stumbled into bhakti. Thank God, Haribol.
Yeah,
stumbled
that's
into it?
that's a perfect translation of like the classical way a person comes to bhakti, right? Like even the great Goswamis and everyone, they come forward and they say, "Who am I? I don't know. I'm lost."
Mhm.
It's like that, right?
Yeah.
thank
I
you,
remember
Jamie.
your first retreat here. You never went to a yoga retreat or anything. It was, you want to just share? It was like,
Yeah, I was freaked out, and I was expecting. I was honestly, I was supposed to come with my fiance. We reserved like the private room so that we didn't have to associate with anybody if we didn't want to.
Good thinking.
She ended up having to leave at the like my dog got sick, and so it was just me, and I told her, I was like, I'm probably gonna pull the ripcord at any time
and leave.
and just leave. They won't miss me. So and that's honestly what I was expecting. I expected to just sort of be weirded out. And I've said this a lot of times in my association with, especially with the community and my sage group. I fell in love with devotees,
Wow.
and that's really what is my biggest inspiration here. I also fell in love with chanting, but
Okay.
devotees and association with devotees has been just a constant source of inspiration for me, and really, really deepened my appreciation for the practice and sort of kept me engaged. Is like, just even though I had some struggles with a little bit with some of the concepts, because like some of the stuff is like sort of really out there, especially coming from like a Western perspective. um I'm like, if this is the result of this, it really can't be that bad. So I'm just gonna hang around, and what do I know?
What do I know anyway? That's a great conclusion. Like, well, what do I know anyway?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, great hanging out with him. And he's a wealth of farm information. He helps us a lot on the farm. Really appreciate all of his contributions. Jamie, what's your question today?
I had it pulled up, and of course I lost it.
That's all right.
1 second, sorry. Can you hold this floppy?
Yeah, it is a floppy mic. You got the floppy one today. I don't think he's freaked out by us anymore.
Not so much. I have it right. Yeah.
But who amongst the crowd is?
Yeah, somebody's freaked out back here.
Okay. Could you just stand up and introduce yourself? Yeah, so my question was, I had come across this like last week, because I sometimes I have friends that ask me questions about this all the time now, because like I chant, and I come to these retreats. The podcast is a regular thing. So yeah, I'm a devotee, but so I have friends that ask me questions about this a lot, and so sort of push back on some stuff, and it's pretty easy for me to explain that, like, all of the good things that are in life, like parental love, parental love, romantic love, those are a reflection of the spiritual world, right? Like, they come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But coming across that, like, it came to me last week, and I've never been pushed back on this, but like, what about bad stuff? Like, where does, like, things, if those things are a reflection of the spiritual world and they sort of ultimately emanate from Krishna, then where do things like hate and jealousy, indifference come from?
Or even crazier things, kidnapping. How is kidnapping a reflection of the spiritual world? Or beating up innocent people, or bombing? How is that a reflection of the spiritual world, Kastuba?
Well, I think those fit into hate, jealousy, and indifference.
Yeah,
and one
yeah.
or
Would you
another.
like Art Bell and just take my answer off? I feel a little uncomfortable to be. I don't know. Part of this. Is that
They're
cool?
not going to see you. It's going to go right to Kastuba.
Okay,
So
okay.
don't worry. They're not going to see you.
You'd like me to start, Raghu?
Yeah, please.
So Jamie, that's such an important question. It's kind of a very fundamental question. It's in a sense, it's kind of the big question of like, where does evil in the world come from? But you're putting it in this context of stuff that we've been sharing on the podcast from the Vaishnava, from the Bhakti perspective. And so, there are different analogies, different metaphors that are used. You're talking about reflection. We've been speaking about like this world in a sense as a reflection. Another one that's used a lot is shadow. And so in a shadow is kind of the same thing as reflection, right? You get the outline. It's just kind of, let's put it this way. Let's work with the shadow idea for a bit. In a sense, your question is like asking, where do shadows originate from? Where does all that dark stuff, hate, jealousy, indifference? In one sense, that's the shadow. That's the dark stuff. Where do shadows come from? In one sense, they originate with light, but it's when something gets between the light and the object that the light is shining on that you get a shadow. And so the way that even Bhagavatam, right? There's 4 verses. They're called the Chatur Shloki, four verses of Bhagavatam. They come in the second canto, and I think 9th chapter. Yeah, second canto, 9th chapter. This is really just given in its very condensed form, how to understand this. But think of it like this. If God is light, because in one sense, everything's coming from God. So this world is a reflection. A reflection is light, right? It's like light on a particular surface, but that's coming from a source. But if God is light, and then there's this world, there's 3 categories. There's God, there's this world, and then there's us, right? In the 15th chapter of the Gita, Krishna lays all this out. This is what knowledge is, understanding these 3 categories. So if you had God, think of God like the sun almost, and then think of this world, and think of us holding that world as if it's like a basketball in the light of the sun, right? Then there's no shadow on that world. But if we turn around and we get ourselves in between God and the world, now there's a shadow on the world, right? Now there's a shadow, now there's a darkness created. And so that's kind of how we understand that it's not coming from God, the evil things in the world, the hate, the jealousy, and the things that you're speaking of. This world is a reflection of the spiritual realm, and the spiritual realm is perfect harmony. But the more that we get in between this world and God, or you could say the more that we see this world as separate from God, what is it that actually gets in between? It's not exactly us, but it's our seeing this world as meant for us. This idea that this world is mine, this world is meant for this world is meant for my pleasure. That is us getting between God's material energy and God, right? If we weren't involved in a sense, then there would just be God in the world and everything would be bright. But we say, no, let me get in between. Or we sometimes said turning our back on God, right? Like the earth. If you have like the eastern hemisphere, and the eastern hemisphere is facing the sun, then it's all lit up. There's no darkness. But when it turns its back, now it becomes dark. So all these kind of analogies are playing with the same idea. But to the extent that we see this world as God's energy meant for his pleasure, to that extent it resembles the spiritual world, and that harmony is there. And to the extent that we see it as mine for my pleasure, to that extent the world becomes dark. And we see these dark things like hatred and jealousy and anger and so on. Prabhupada, I'll read you that verse from the Bhagavatam, from the Chatur Shloki. So important. It's it's Vishnu speaking to Lord Brahma. And he says, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, if it is seen without relation to me, you could say, it has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness.
Mhm.
And now there's a long commentary. All our acharyas give long, important commentaries on this. But let's just read the first paragraph of what Prabhupada says, and this gets to the essence of it. He says, in the previous verse, it has already been concluded that at any stage of the cosmic manifestation, its appearance, its sustenance, its growth, its interactions with different energies, its deterioration and its disappearance, right? The world goes through these cycles. All has its basic relation with the existence of the personality of Godhead. And as such, whenever there is forgetfulness of this prime relation with the Lord, and whenever things are accepted as real without being related to the Lord, that conception is called a product of the illusory energy of the Lord. Because nothing can exist without the Lord, it should be known that the illusory energy is also an energy of the Lord. The right conclusion, here comes the answer. The right conclusion of dovetailing everything in relation with the Lord is called yoga maya, or the energy of union. And the wrong conception of detaching a thing from its relationship with the Lord is called the Lord's Daivi Maya, or Mahamaya. Both the Mayas also have connections with the Lord because nothing can exist without being related to Him. As such, the wrong conception of detaching relationships from the Lord is not false, but illusory. And so, again, it's not that everything, in one sense, if we go back to your question, the parental love or the romantic love, those are also illusory. But the less selfishness is in it, the more it resembles the spiritual world. So Prabhupada said the love of the mother for the child is the closest thing. It most resembles the spiritual reality, the spiritual love. And to the extent that we have this idea that, to the extent that the mother or the lover thinks this person is special because of their relationship to me, the more that relationship becomes dark, and the more that it becomes illusory, and the more that the more that that's removed, then there's less shadow, right? The more that this person is special because they're God's special person, special. They're part of God, they're part of God's energy. The more that that's seen, then the more that it's light. And if we just related like that, there would be no hate and no jealousy and no indifference and all that. And it's such an essential question because it gets to the idea of the questions that are so prominent, so upfront in today's world of just in all the tensions that are in the world right now and how they play out and how they're spoken about. Because
There's tension in the world right now.
there's a whole lot of, I don't know if you notice over there on the farm right now.
Everything's
There's a lot going
wonderful.
on. But for instance, for someone to say, why aren't you bhakti people? Why you're just spiritually bypassing. You're just concerned about your own little spiritual thing, and you're not addressing all the problems in the world. The fact is that we are. We're addressing the cause rather than the symptom. And so, in other words, if someone were to say, why aren't you protesting right now? What's going on here or there? Why aren't you directly countering the sufferings in this world? Our answer would be if that's how you have chosen to use your time and energy, we recognize and applaud the selflessness in that, right? To the extent that it is, right? To the extent that you're you're sacrificing your time and your energy to try to help others, that is noteworthy, and that is special and glorious, however we want to.
And you're doing it without becoming hateful,
Yeah.
resentful.
But what we're also doing the same thing, except you're going to the symptom. It's like a big whack-a-mole. You solve a problem. We actually never solve these problems practically. Practically none of them they just wear out. Their energy burns out. But if you solve this one social malady, there's 100 more of them out there. And as soon as you turn to the next one, another one's going to pop up again. So we applaud you for going ahead and applying, trying to apply some kind of solution to that problem. But what we're saying is there's a common cause to all of these maladies, and that is that we're seeing the world in the wrong way. We're misunderstanding who we are in relation to this world, and based on that misunderstanding, we're creating darkness in so many different ways in so many different places. Now, if we were to go right to that root cause, then this world would begin to resemble the spiritual world, right? If we could address that root cause. The root cause is that I see this world as mine. I see my purpose in this world is to enjoy the resources of this world. That's creating the shadow. That's when we're getting between God and the world. When we say, no, I see this whole world as God's, then there's no shadow. Now there's nothing between God and the world, right? And so Prabhupada, this was his point, is we're trying to address the sufferings in the world by sharing this knowledge. And this knowledge it's the rising tide that lifts all the boats. All the different maladies in the world are addressed by this one clear idea that we have misunderstood our relationship with this world. And let's try to understand that. So we've dedicated our time and our energy, our resources to helping raise awareness of that, in the hopes that it can help address all of the sufferings in the world. Is that all right? I think that the basketball,
The reflection, as soon as you started saying about the reflection,
the shadow.
the shadow,
Yeah.
I was like, that should have been, I mean, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
that shadow it really gets to the heart. We get between it. There's God in this world, and when we get between God and the world, seeing it as ours, then there's darkness.
Thank you so much.
Raghu, why don't you?
All right.
Yeah, would you like to add?
I think we went on for a long time with that, but I think that's a good one. Let's get more people up
Okay.
here. Thank you, Jamie. Harry Bull.
Thank you, Jamie.
Who's next on the list?
I think it's Eileen
It's
Shovlin.
Shoveling the Mercy. We could just call her Mercy now. It's for short. Mercy, welcome.
Mercy.
How are you?
That's
You
Eileen.
got to speak right into the microphone. Put your face right on there. Oops, what's going on? It's Siri talking. What's your story? Tell us your story. How'd you get here? How'd you end up getting into Bhakti?
Well, first, thank you and Mara and you, Kastuba, for just spreading what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do and bringing us to Krishna consciousness and reminding us who we are. So it's just such an honor to be present physically with you and Mara and Kastuba to be with you every day. So I just want to say thank you.
It's an honor to be with you, Eileen.
You thought we were AI? We're real. And what do you do for a job?
Financial services.
Financial
That is.
services.
It's everything you and me don't do.
We are hopeless.
We're
We need you,
helpless.
actually.
Help us. Okay. And you've got kids, mother, your mother?
I'm a mother. My son is 27.
27. Okay. So you're not 27 then.
I'm not.
Okay, all right.
No.
So, and you got here from, how long were you interested in spirituality for?
So you actually were on a India retreat with Kelly Skinner, Kishore Gopi.
Yeah.
And she came home filled with the holy name and she decided to spread it. And I caught her raised.
Wow.
So I went to the yoga retreat and met her and then was hooked by kirtan and different thoughts on relationship with Krishna and God. And I wanted to know more and it was divine timing.
It's divine timing.
The bright light of Vermont.
Yeah. Krishna sends tags teams of people to enter into our life to get that message across. And it's beautiful to look back and just remember and appreciate how that we're not alone. There is a higher source that is trying to, not just like we're just reaching out to God to pray for stuff, but God's actually reaching towards us to bring us in, and will tag certain people in your life that can speak your language to bring you closer. So great.
I think we have to make sure Eileen gets real close to the mic.
You gotta
Okay.
get right in there.
Yeah,
So what's your
real
question,
like that.
dear?
So I'm really happy to see Sarah on today because this question kind of came from a conversation Sarah and I had recently. And Lori Pags just said it's Sarah's birthday. So
Oh, happy
happy
birthday.
birthday,
Maya
Sarah.
and Sarah's birthday today.
So my question is this. We've talked on the show before. You've answered some questions about going and how to prepare to go on retreat, whether it's an immersion retreat or a retreat like going to India. And my question is coming home from retreat. So we've talked about prepping for a retreat, but coming home. And I recently came back from India and really struggled with reintegration.
Okay.
And I had this happen last year. I attended a holy name retreat with Satchidananda Swami, and I had a similar experience. So this is something that's been really kind of in my head. So my question is, what are suggestions and practical things that you suggest to really maximize all we learn and experience on our retreats when we come back home, to avoid that kind of, I'll call it bhakti roller coaster that we put ourselves on when we come back into the world?
Mm.
Good question.
Want to take a shot at this?
Do I want to, or do you?
You want me to take it?
Yeah, why don't you get started with it?
Congratulations. It sounds like you fully immerse yourself in these retreats, which is important. If you want to make the most out of it, just like if you're taking a yoga class, not only do you follow the teacher's instructions, you make sure you breathe deep, you make sure your mind's not all over the place. So the same thing can happen. You can go on these retreats, but you can be thinking about, oh, I've got business to do at home. I've got other stuff in my life, or who is this person? You can question, you can doubt, you can fear, you can live in your mind like that and not get the most out of the same experience. So it sounds like you fully immerse yourself. You sort of leave your old world behind. You get some higher taste, you get some bliss, you get some joy. Then you come back to your old stomping ground, your old circle of people, the same workplace, and all of a sudden it's like, who are these people? I have nothing in common with them. And people get depressed. People get sad, and but you should understand that sadness, or it's actually meant for you to say, okay, how can I integrate this into my life now? It's not going to be that. That's why we have retreats. That's why we have pilgrimages, to get so high you're almost floating away. Don't expect the world to get you. Don't expect to the world, wait, you just took 2 weeks of your vacation time to travel on a 17-hour plane ride to sit on the floor at a dusty village and sing songs. Are you nuts? Yes, you are nuts by material standards, but you got some type of taste. You got some type of sweetness. You got some type of high. And you have to figure out how you can protect that, almost like within a magical bubble, without resenting all the other people around you. Why aren't they more spiritual? Why isn't he more spiritual, or she more spiritual? I wish my boss was more spiritual, because sometimes we can take it out on the world. I also say, try not to blame the world. Make it, this is my thing. Make it your thing. Make it your thing, that you have that bubble of sanity, and figure out what that spiritual life means now within this context, and how can you keep that high without resenting people for also not being high. That's what I find happens. I find when I come back, I can't even explain it to people. I can't explain that experience. It was an emotional, it was a spiritual, it was a mental, it was a sensational experience, but it's hard to explain. So I keep that as my private experience, and I try to be very, very delicate with everybody else, and then just like give them little bits of how I've changed. But if how I've changed is that I'm resentful towards everybody, then they're going to say, wow, she went on this trip and she comes back a real bitch. I can't figure this out. You know, we don't want to have it like that. So the best thing you could do to keep that high is, on your downtime, put in spiritual information. And it's all there in podcasts, in YouTube videos, in lectures, in kirtans, to keep that high going. It's the reason why we do a daily yoga podcast. So you can binge listen, so you can listen on a regular basis, so you can hear truth or wisdom on a regular basis and feel the same high. And then when you're feeling a little low, Then you go on a pilgrimage, you go on a weekend retreat, you go, again, these things that don't make any material sense. I got a bunch of people here in this living room. They just worked all weekend. And what did they get in return? They got some kitchery. They got to wake up. They don't even get to.
It was delicious kitchery.
It was delicious kitchery. Right. but it does. And they've done labor, just like hard labor that you can't even pay people to do sometimes. But everyone's joyful and everyone's blissful. So it won't make material sense to others, but it can make material sense to you by keeping that vibration high when you're out of that immersion. And then you'll learn to deal with other people in a more gentle way, and you'll keep that high from pilgrimage or retreat until your next time. And it's important to have those immersions as well.
Thank you.
Good. You want to keep it going? Or you want to share something with that?
Yeah, let's keep it going. I think those are the same option, right? To keep it going and to share are the same thing.
No, keep it going means we bring another person on. But if you want to
I
elaborate
see.
on that,
Oh, I thought you meant let's keep this question going for a bit. Yeah, it's been said, Eileen, that it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And, so in one sense, if you're getting healthier by going on these retreats, when you're going to come back, you may not be well adjusted to it, because it is profoundly sick, this world that we're living in.
I ended up going on a business trip to Las Vegas
right
the week
man,
after I
come
got
on.
home from Vrindavan.
it's pretty similar, isn't it?
You're swinging the pendulum over here. So so in one sense you should, don't worry if you're feeling a little bit maladjusted to this world when you come back, but also the struggle may be, I'm having trouble keeping my consciousness on the platform I had it on when I was in Vrindavan. Like that's I think maybe the essence of the struggle, that you had time in a holy place, and that can awaken something in you, something special, and when that awakens, it's so satisfying. It's like all the pieces are fitting together. I feel right. Now you have to find a way to keep that awake when you come back into another world, right? Because you were in a place where you had exclusive engagement in the spiritual energy, and so it didn't require a struggle. It didn't require an effort to keep your consciousness on that platform. But then you come back and you're forced to engage with the material energy. And it sounds like you're engaging with it in like some serious Las Vegas style material energy. And so there's a struggle, right? Before, I was in the current, and now it's like I'm swimming against the current. And so it kind of gets back to the last question. You have to begin to see this world in the light of bhakti, in the light of Krishna consciousness, in the light of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's going to require practice. And that's something that for most of us, that's going to be a process of maturation of our vision of this world over the course of daily practice, over the course of regular trips, maybe perhaps regular pilgrimages that you do. Yeah. And you come back and you begin, hopefully we all begin to see the world wherever we are in that light. Like when I'm in Vrindavan, it's easier to see the world in that light. And then when I come away from Vrindavan, I'm still seeing the world in that light. And, I'm not saying I'm there, but I will say this, that people ask me all the time, like if I'm in India, they say, are you looking forward to going home? Or are you, I guess the opposite of looking forward to it, like, are you dreading the thought of going back to the West? Or if I'm in the West, they say, are you really looking forward to going, And honestly, nowadays, of course, in a sense, I look forward to going there. And of course, when I'm there, I don't exactly want to leave there. But I honestly, I just kind of feel like I have my service to do wherever it is. It's kind of, so like, it's not like I'm counting the days, on either end. We just have to kind of develop that Krishna conscious vision. So Prabhupada was saying, you think I'm sitting in New York, but actually I'm in Vrindavan right now. We need to come to that level. So, there are practical things you need to do. If when you're in that holy place, it's not just the place. There's certainly something about the place itself, but what's happening in that place is everybody's moving in the same direction. And so it's easy for you to be exclusively engaged in bhakti. You need to, here you can't, right? You've got a job to do with people that don't relate. You got to get on a plane and go to Las Vegas and do financial services for people, with people that have no connection and are actually maybe going in the exact opposite direction of where you're trying to bring your awareness. And so you've got to cut out chunks of your time, as Raghunath was saying, that are exclusively devoted to bhakti, and you really have to honor those times and elevate those times. Like those become priority times, so whether it's listen to the podcast in the morning and spending some time doing some reading and spending some time doing some chanting, cut out, a few weeks when you maybe go on a pilgrimage, exclusive time on a daily basis, exclusive time, where you have some weeks that you dedicate, like that. You have to cut out some exclusive time. And through that, and this is real important, you have to you have to nurture a deeper and deeper and deeper understanding of the highest truths of bhakti, right? Like the love that the residents of Vrindavan have for Krishna, even though we don't feel it the way we're meant to feel it now. The love of Radha and Krishna and the essence of all of that. We need to deepen and deepen and deepen our clarity in understanding that idea or that ideal, and carry that with us all the time, like carried within the heart, that we're never separate from it. The more that we understand it, the more that we'll be able to carry it with us all the time. And then it will be less of a struggle. You may still have your worldly responsibilities, but it won't, and I should caution, it's, like we're always being warned not to be cautious as we move through this world, how we relate with the people or the energies that we come in contact with. But the more that highest idea of bhakti, the more that it's understood and cherished in your heart, the more you'll be able to carry it with you everywhere. And you'll become more immune to the material energy, and it'll be less of a struggle. You won't feel that. I think that's the word that you used, right? Struggle. Yeah, it'll be less of a struggle for you, and you'll be more at ease in this world.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you.
Eileen. Shoveling the mercy. Shoveling the mulch. Shoveling the mulch and the mercy. All right, who's next? Come on down. Oh, it's Hot Scott.
Scott, yeah.
His new name. Scott Heating and
Scott.
Plumbing has changed to Hot Scott. That's his new email address at Yahoo.
Good to see you, Scott.
So Scott,
Because he's Hot
right?
Scott because
sorry.
he's involved in heating and plumbing, right?
Scott Heating and Plumbing.
Is that where the Hot Scott came? Or?
That name didn't roll out well. Scott Heating and Plumbing. Scott Heating and Plumbing. Then we tried Scott Plum. Scott Plum. That's not bad, actually. Scott Plum. But I like Hot Scott. Hot Scott, how are you?
I'm good.
You were a hardcore guy, Hot
Yeah,
Scott?
hardcore guy. I spent a long time living in the shadows.
Okay.
Long time.
Okay,
living in the shadows.
Okay.
And
It's a dark place, those shadows.
It was, and thankfully Krishna gave me the ability to see him in a moment of need, and I just looked up and took the hand, and then even when I took the hand, I turned my back on him, so to speak, and then he was right behind me the whole time.
Once Krishna's got your hand, he doesn't let go.
Yeah.
You can try to run from him, but he's just got you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Raghunath, I was waiting for you to break into the song right there. Did you think of a song?
No.
Come on, go think back. Think back. Go back to the 70s.
What was that? I forgot. I forgot what he said.
He said that you took the hand. You don't remember? Put your hand in the hand of the man.
Put your hand in the hand of the man. Now Kostuba's trying
Walk the
to have
water.
me sing mundane songs on the show. What's going
Put your
on?
hand in the hand. I remember seeing that, singing that song. But that's a good song. That's kind of like a
was a great
Christian
song.
I think, right?
I think so. So Scott, were you on a spiritual path at all?
I mean, I actually, when I first got sober, I started going to agnostic meetings. The analogy I draw is that I had a lifetime of a dirty floor.
Hold on a
And
second. They're agnostic 12-step meetings?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially when you're first coming out, like, or first coming like off the street and stuff like that. It's just a way to just give you some ideas without having to shove spirituality down your throat. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Sure.
Because I had the Christianity thing just kind of shoved down my throat in my first meeting, and I almost turned me off
Mm.
completely.
okay.
And so to get that, the analogy I draw is like, if you have a dirty floor, you got to sweep the floor first before you mop it. Because if you just you're just going to spread the dirt around if you
Great
don't mop the
analogy.
floor. So, but at the end, I mean, when I stopped going to those meetings, it was just one of those things where it really wasn't working for me because there was a God-sized hole, like you say, in my heart, and I needed some sort of spirituality in order to really progress in my recovery. It just wasn't going to work. And so I'm just very, very grateful, and thanks to everyone
Wow.
out here for helping me get another day. So
Thank you, Scott.
Beautiful, Scott. And I just want to put this out there. Everybody on this retreat will fully admit that Scott has an incredible attitude. Just a good attitude.
Attitude of gratitude.
Got an attitude of gratitude all the time, carries it with him.
I just try to follow the example you guys set. So
Thank you, Prabhu. So what's your question today?
my question is, as I study the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm just a little confused as to who the 6 Goswamis are and what role they play in Lord Chaitanya's Leela.
Oh, great
Nice
question.
The 6 Goswamis.
Yeah.
They're doing the work for Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya sent them to excavate these places that have been covered over, forgotten about by time, by invaders. A lot of invaders came to Mathura, Vrindavan, just destroyed things, and just wiped out stuff. And so the 6 Goswamis were sent out to recover it, to collect all the, and you get into, if people get into Hinduism, when you see people into Eastern thought, and even Kirtan community, that they don't really know what's necessarily going on. They just feel like that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. We're all one. We're all God. But they're sort of like lost. And because the Vedas are written in such a very broad way that it attracts people from all different categories of what they want, different demographics. Some people just want to feel better. Some people want to just feel a little healthier. Some people want a little more mindfulness. Some people want stuff from a higher power, from a source. And some people want pure love and pure devotion. So the Vedas is a big reservoir that everybody can dip in, even if you want a little cup of water. So the Goswamis, they went and they just extracted bhakti from all the teachings. And that was another one of their missions, to rediscover these holy places, to excavate find the lost deities, and to extract bhakti from all the teachings of the Vedas and write on them. And it was one of these massive contributions headed by these 6 Goswamis. There's many Goswamis. I'm not quite sure why we highlight the 6, but I know there was Goswamis that Lord Chaitanya sent before him, like Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarba Goswami as well. You know why there were 6? Why they call them 6?
Honestly, Raghunath, I was going to say myself exactly why these 6, because as you're saying, there are other Goswamis that were right there with them,
right,
and that are
and predated,
honored,
came before them.
A little came before them. Well, we know this. Like, one way to answer this question is to kind of look historically at the whole spiritual tradition that grows out of the Vedic literature, right? It's vast. And it's got so many different ideas, so many different great teachers and lineages and so on. And all different kind of ideas about what's important. Some people emphasize performing your duties in varnashrama, being following these social obligations, very strictly, and living a very noble life that way. Performing ritual to receive, material benefit in a dharmic context. Some people see achieving liberation as the goal, letting go of all of the things of this world, minimizing all of the ritual and minimizing all of those external considerations, performing worldly duties, letting go of all of that, seeing all of that as illusory, and becoming free of the influence of this world on our consciousness and experiencing some kind of inner bliss and relief. Some people see that's the goal of the whole thing. You can find it here in the Upanishads, it's speaking about it and so on. Other people had an idea of bhakti, that there's a divinity that is our source, that is personal, that's behind all the workings of this world, and you can connect in intimate love with that divinity, and that's the goal of it all. And there's, those are like, if you took the whole thing and broke it into 3 categories, it would look like that. But there's so many nuances and so many different ideas and so many texts and so many, they often seem they're contradicting one another, and how to make sense of it all. And what happens is different acharyas, different prominent teachers come forward and they say, I've worked through it all, and this is how you can understand it clearly. And this is what should be emphasized, and so on. And then they write their commentaries on these ancient texts, and they create their lineage. And along with that, you could say like a method and a culture to cultivate that idea. And so we see great, from Ramanujacharya, Madhva, Shankara, so many prominent figures did that through writing commentaries and establishing, sometimes they establish a temple, or they establish like a mutt, like a lineage of monks that teach all this, or whatever. What Sri Chaitanya did, we see that he didn't write books. He didn't write commentaries. He stayed in Jagannath Puri, and he went deep, deep, deep into relishing the mood of Radha. But he taught these Goswamis his unique amalgamation, or you could say his unique understanding, perspective on all of this. He taught it to them, he spoon-fed it to them. And so when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see him speaking to, especially, we see him speaking to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. And their ideas and their books came straight through him. So he empowered these Goswamis to give a unique, special, beautiful bhakti understanding of Vedanta. And so, and each of them kind of had their own unique responsibility, you could say it like that, or contribution. Like Rupa Goswami was empowered to teach on rasa, and to teach on raga anuga bhakti, teach the method for achieving this divine love. And his book, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is just like an incredibly significant contribution that and Prabhupada translated that as Nectar Devotion. And Sanatana Goswami taught Sambandha Jnana, understanding all the categories and how they relate to it. Everything from this material realm and its different gradations within it, up to this entire universe, and who are the devas, who are the demigods, what is the level of their consciousness, up to the different layers of the spiritual realm, up to Krishna, Radha and Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan. If you read his book, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, masterpiece, just masterful work, that helps us understand all of these Sambandha, how we relate, in the strata, of all the way up to Goloka Vrindavan. Now, Jiva Goswami is, in one sense, like the classical philosopher. Like, he's the one that's kind of writing commentaries, really saying out, Shankar saw it this way, Ramanuja saw it that way. We're going to tell you, we're going to pick through all the books and defend this point of view. Defend that the love of Radha and Krishna is the highest thing. Defend that Bhagavatam is the highest revelation of all the Vedic scriptures and is coming. He wrote books of philosophy. The Satsandarbhas was his very important contribution, where he breaks everything down. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami, they say that actually he is the one that, like Jiva Goswami's works and even Sanatana Goswami's works, like he was kind of behind them all, like Jiva says that I'm basically just taking all the stuff that Gopal Bhatta Goswami wrote, but it was like it needed to be edited and certain parts of it were missing because, you know, everything was written on these leaves and everything, and they would dry out or fall apart or get eaten by bugs. And so he's like saying he basically laid this out. I'm just kind of doing some really important editing work. Like he kind of gave credit like that. And Sanatana Goswami's other important work was the Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is, it just teaches like all the different, how a Vaishnava lives and how a Vaishnava practices. And that was also coming from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Sanatana actually says he wrote it. Gopal Bhatta says more or less, I kind of edited it. So like they're kind of giving credit to each other, but Gopal Bhatta Goswami's contribution was real important in that. Raghunath Das Goswami taught that highest revelation, the prayojana, like what is that pure love? He wrote some also very beautiful and important books. Chaitanya Charitamrita largely comes through him because he spent all that time with Sri Chaitanya in Puri. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is like I think we know the least about him. If I remember correctly, I think he told Krishnadas Kaviraj, don't write about me in Chaitanya. I'll share so much. I think it was him that Krishnadas Kaviraj said, I need to hear from you, because he stayed with Sri Chaitanya in Puri for 8 months on 2 different occasions. So 16 months total. He's like, I need to hear from you about this. And he's like, I'll share it all with you, but as long as you promise me one thing, whatever it is, that you don't write about me in your book, just out of humility. He didn't want to be seen as, you know, going down in history as special or something. So we know perhaps the least about him. Certainly I know the least about him. But he was also right there with him, and he's praised as being, you know, the depth of his devotion, that he would sing. He would gather at the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan with other Goswamis and sing all the verses of Bhagavatam in many different melodies. And he would be crying and his voice would be choking up, and he was just incredibly dear to all the devotees in Vrindavan. So as Raghunath was saying, you know, sometimes it's said that they were doing these 2 things, right? They were pouring through all of the different vast Vedic literatures and getting to its essence, and then providing that essence to us in a very clear way, in response to all of the other ideas that have been handed down over the centuries. Say, no, look, here you can see it all. First understand that the Bhagavatam is the ultimate pramana, the ultimate proof, and then through that we can understand everything, and through that we understand that Krishna is the origin of all existence, and that this world is a transformation of his spiritual energy, and that the soul is simultaneously one and different from him, and the goal is to enter into that Leela again. That was what Sri Chaitanya taught, and the Goswamis they wrote the theses. You know, they went through all these texts and explained all that so that other philosophers and other people could benefit from that explanation. And also, Sri Chaitanya sent them all to Vrindavan, as well, to recover all those holy places, to find them, because they were kind of gone. They were kind of just lost, covered over. And so they built really important temples, wrote important books. And if you really want to understand them, in Chaitanya Charitamrita you'll find so much, so that'd be really good for you to read. And there's a song, the Sad Goswami Astakam. You know, it's a beautiful song written by Srinivasacharya. And if you look that up, the Sri Shad Goswami Astaka, then that song, 8 verses, explains beautifully who they were and what they were all about, what their mission was.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you very much, my friend.
It's so important, the Goswamis. You know, our love for them increases as we, you know, we're really understanding what we're doing the more that we appreciate their contribution.
Is that it, Mara?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's our show today. All right.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody from the Saber Retreat and everybody here live, Harry Bowl. Got a good group.
Can't hear
Thanks
the music
everybody
again,
joining
man.
us on Zoom. You can join us on Zoom by just emailing Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Although on our new platform, I think you're going to be able to just get on it. And I think, is that it, Kasuba?
What's that? Get
On
a
the new
what?
platform, can people just go to the platform? They're going to be on Zoom? Or
Well,
is it
you would
Zoom?
have to go to some place. But
Yeah, it'll be.
it
really
wouldn't be
useful.
Zoom. You'd be on that platform.
Be on
and
that platform.
Yeah. But
What is
we're not
this
sure if we're going to be able to do that.
platform we're talking about? We're not quite
We're
sure.
going to get there. We're going to get there.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us every morning. Very impressed. Hearing truth on a regular basis changes your life. Changes the trajectory of your life. So thanks for showing up. We have a beautiful community here. I'm very grateful for it. If you like what we're doing, go to Apple Podcasts and write us a review. Tell us how you got here. I like reading through those things, and it really helps the word get out there, and it changes the algorithms. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us, follow us, comment on our episodes. Means a lot. And share this with people that you love. That's how this spreads organically. And you don't ever know. Somebody out there could need exactly some connection with God today. It's we make this world a brighter place. Thank you, everybody. Beautiful day for a beautiful day. It's a magical day. Let the magic continue to flow in a big Haribol!